I know that nipples are these things that we're not supposed to show as women. I think it's crap.
You do?
Yeah, I think it's total crap. And I know the nipples come in all shapes and sizes, and like I know that maybe if you don't feel comfortable with yours, cover them. Fine. I don't care. I would like to free the nipple.
By the way, you know my thing.
Yes, I do. I was well aware I was going to take these shoes off. I was like, oh, I better wear shorts.
I washed these for you.
I better wear shorts to be comfortable. So I was like, I knew I'd take my shoes
well,
off.
I didn't travel with my big basket of socks, so I was like, crap. So I washed these. I'm like, Danica will put on pretty pink socks.
Of course
right?
I will.
I promise.
Of course I will.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
No, but this is what I have to do as I go on the road more, is actually like bring, not everybody's that flexible though. Bring several with me. And
you're gonna have to have a stash of new socks, you know,
I know. Forget about like toiletries and shoes. I need to freaking bring socks over with me.
When they're this squishy though, they could just like.
Yeah, but who has better legs than you? Nobody.
Oh, thanks. Well,
I actually, before I actually met her.
And I knew I'd sit all cross-legged in Indian style, which is why I wore shorts instead of jeans. I was like, I might as well be comfortable.
I actually cussed you out a lot before I actually met you in person.
Why?
Because you're doing like 12 pull-ups at once. What are you up to now?
Oh, I mean, it's so it's always different, but right now we're doing 6 sets of 3, and each set you increase the weight. So I think my last, so increase the weight meaning strapped to me.
Yes.
Like I can do a lot of strict pull-ups, meaning
How many?
without weight. I have no idea. I haven't actually tested it in a long time. I mean, when I did CrossFit, I could kip and do, I don't know, 50, 30, 50.
Oh
but
my
like
God.
kipping, there would be like a momentum to it. But like strict pull-ups, I mean, I don't know. I'd be guessing if I was guessing how many I could do strict pull-ups without any weight added to my waist. Probably, I gotta imagine like 20.
That's insane. Do you know
I
that?
think.
Like for women, it's insane.
Yeah, I had almost 40 pounds strapped to my waist doing the last set yesterday.
That's nuts. Nuts.
Yeah.
Do you know when I was in college?
I have silly strength. It's weird.
In college, I was in Air Force ROTC. I was going to be an Army officer, Air Force officer. Long story as to why it didn't happen. But the physical fitness tests that you have to pass were different for women versus men. God forbid, because we are built differently, are we not? Women and men. Maybe we'll go there later. But men did pull-ups. Women did the bent arm hang. Mm-hmm. Not like this either. There's a difference, right?
Okay.
Here's the
you
bar.
You just hung on the bar?
Hung. But you have to be above it. Chin can't touch.
Okay.
And actually, that was a lot harder than I thought. And so I had the record, 43 seconds.
Wow.
Think about it, 43 seconds. No, my point is that's not even like
You're not going to die.
impressive.
Somebody's going to be able to pull you up. You'll be like, you could hang on for a
But
while.
43 seconds, now I'm like, if that's the record, we got issues. 43 seconds is not a lot. And you're doing 20 pull-ups just straight up, not the wimpy hang like I was doing.
Yeah.
I'm going to blame it on my height and long arms and awkwardness.
Well, I think it is like I'm tiny. I'm like 105 pounds. So when we put the weight into like the app program that we use, so like every weight is recorded, every rep is recorded, everything is recorded. We weigh in and do in-body every 3 weeks. So my body composition is recorded, everything. So it's like very, very, very recorded and analyzed, and like, you know, we can build on it. So especially with the weights and stuff like that, it's nice because you really can make a lot of progress when you do that. And when you're tracking every single thing, which is what you've done. I mean, you track every single thing career-wise, right? With racing, where a millimeter could make a difference. Are you passing inspection after a race? Like every single thing matters. So it doesn't surprise me that you've done that. Yeah. How would you quantify the shape that you're in now versus, I guess, the rest of your life? Sure.
All right, question for you. Do you have trouble staying focused? Are you easily distracted? Suffering from brain fog? Yes. Well, it used to be me. It was frustrating and it was scary, and I actually thought I was losing my mind. What I've learned is that brain fog is not based on how old you are or how little sleep you get, and that's an issue for me too. And it doesn't start in your head. It starts with poor blood flow. And that is why I take Vinia, and I take it every day. Here's why. Your brain is less than 2% of your body weight, but it demands 20% of your oxygen. So when your brain is starved of oxygen, your circulation suffers, and that is when brain fog sets in. Vinea is fantastic because it's a nature-based solution, and that is important to all of us right now. You've heard about the Mediterranean diet and how red wine is good for circulation. Yes, I've practiced that. Vinea gives you the same blood flow boosting benefits of 1,000 grapes or a full bottle of wine, but without the sugars, without the calories or the alcohol. Here's what better blood flow means. It means more oxygen to your brain. So goodbye brain fog. And trust me, it's made a huge difference in my life. It's helped me personally and also professionally. And for someone who does this and interviews people for a living, I have to be sharp and I absolutely have to be present. So the folks at Vinea, they're offering something really cool. It's a 90-day risk-free trial. They're going to refund every penny and cover return postage if you don't feel the difference in physical energy and also mental sharpness. So go to vinea.com/sage for a special buy two, get 1 month free offer. For about $1 a day, you can experience Vinea's proven results. Plus, get 10% off of any Vinea purchase when you click the link in the description. It's vinea.com/sage. Improve your blood flow and say goodbye to that brain fog today.
This is definitely the best shape I've ever been in. Yeah.
At age 43.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that wild?
Awesome.
So I've always been in good shape and I was racing and, but then I kind of got sick. And when I got sick, I also like everything from like gained body fat to lost hair. Like my hair wasn't growing anymore. I mean, I just had so much inflammation. My face looked different. And so I remember when I was going through all that, I was like, honestly, it probably started being noticeable in like 2018. So like 18, 19, 20 is kind of when it started really shifting at the end of 2020. And then 2021 was when I started to go get help for it. And people kept saying like, you're just getting older. You know, I turned 40 in 22. So they're like, you know, it's just, you know, your age and things change. You just kind of got to get used to it. And I was like, no, that's not how it's going to go. I have more resources. I'm doing a better job than ever. Like, there's no way that I'm going to accept that age is the reason, just not buying it. And I was right. And so there's just things that you believe in life are just true for you. And that, you know, you just feel them so deeply. And like, I knew I'd figure it out. And I did. And I went through a lot of doctors, and there's a lot of brilliant doctors that I worked with, and I'm not taking anything from their talent, their skill, their ability, but it also was finding the right doctor. So I would recommend anyone that has health stuff that they're going through to go all in with whatever doctor you're with. But if, you know, I'd say 6 months go by and you don't notice anything change, just lovingly move on and find another one, because they really, I feel like doctors tend to do for most people what they've seen work for either a mass of their patients or themselves. Like a lot of times doctors are doctors because they needed it too. And like they're very, you know, passionate about it for that reason, especially when you get into functional and when you get into more of the specialized, like unique doctors, as opposed to like a generic doctor that is, you know, more of your classically trained. They tend to be a little bit more specific to what's worked for them. So like you just have to find a doctor that works for you. Yeah. So I finally found that. I mean, that was Gabrielle Lyon. Like she's just like a little bat. She's me. She's my size.
Is she really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I saw you with her last week.
Yeah.
Right?
She's my size. She's 5'1", 108. I think she said. Like we're basically the same size.
Are you 5'1"?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I feel like a giant when standing next to you, like
people
awkwardly.
do that all the time. Like, but I'm like a tiny human.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Perfect in that way. You know, you've talked about intuition a lot too. And that's what you relied on with your health, with your body. Yeah. And I love how open you were about getting your breast implants removed.
Well,
and that was okay. Yeah. I'll shut up. Go.
No, it's okay. I'm happy to chime in or out at any point, and know what you want to, and hear what you want to know. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I wasn't going to tell anyone, because I didn't tell anyone I got them in either. Like, people don't do that either, you know? And then the fact that I got them out and felt so much better within hours was like, I have to tell people. And I was like, Mom, should I do this? Because she came to Arizona for my surgery, and it was probably like less than 2 days after. It was like maybe 36, 48 hours after. And I was like, should I post this? And she's like, well, you're probably going to do it anyway. And I was like, you're right.
She knows her daughter.
Yeah. So I did. And Good Morning America was like at the house filming a segment with me and the doctor at my house like a few days later. So the experience though that I had with sharing that was like, I was scared to share it. Like, I'm like, hey, I got my boobs in and out. Check me out. You know, I was like, it's not really like the most secure share that you like volunteer for people. So I was scared kind of to say it. It was like one of those where you're like ready to post and you're like, fuck it. And you just hit the button.
And you know that once you do.
Yeah, it's over. But I will say that that's not the only time that's happened where I've felt that. And whenever I do that, it has the most amount of impact. So, because I think that, you know, I think it was Brene Brown that said the real vulnerability is sharing something you're not sure you're ready to share. And that's how it feels. Like, it's always right before, like, you know it's true, but like you're a little scared and you're like, oh, I don't know, what will be the backlash? But you know it's true. That's like the most important stuff that you should be sharing.
Yep, absolutely.
Has that happened? I mean, that's got to have happened to you too. I mean, I think that kind of happened probably with the politics stuff and
I think
with, you know, being, you know, sharing your religion and, you know, what you believe in, right? I mean, that had to have happened.
I remember putting the MAGA hat on the week before the election at the MSG rally. And I always said to myself, I will never wear one of these. I don't need to announce like that. Like, it's so like, look at me, see, I'm a rebel. And then I did it because I felt so inspired after the rally. And that same thing, I'm like, screw it. Like, I actually believe we are going to make America great again. It doesn't have to be this cult. I mean, some call it that. I don't care anymore. And that's what it took. Yeah. But then I knew, push send, and then there came the hate and there came all the things. But I think we also get to that point in our lives, some sooner than others, where you go, okay, that's fine if you want to judge me for whatever it is. And there's a long list, right? I mean, I know there's a lot of things that people can judge me for, and go for it. Do you think back on the reason why you got the implants in the first place?
Yeah, I mean, I got them because I wanted to be as close to perfect as possible. I was like, wow, I'm really fit, I'm lean, whatever, young and all, but I got like tiny boobs. So what if I made them bigger? And then I feel like I'd look more perfect. And also more feminine. Yeah. Like, I thought, like, how great would it be to feel more sexy in that way? Like, there ain't nothing to grab there, you know? But the thing is that when I got them, I always remembered they were fake. It's not like I could ever think to myself, like, they didn't feel that real, you know? They weren't really, like, they really didn't. And part of it is that they had increasing levels of capsular contracture as time went on. But even from the beginning, like.
So did you like them at first?
I mean, at first, I think I liked them a little bit, and they definitely look better in swimsuits and bras. Like, I actually could wear a bra.
Dresses, all of it, yeah.
I don't have a bra on right now, for anyone that's wondering.
Well, that's awesome.
Because, well, I also have a nice ruffly shirt. I mean, I know that nipples are these things that we're not supposed to show as women. I think it's crap.
You do?
Yeah, I think it's total crap. And I know that nipples come in all shapes and sizes, and like, I know that maybe if you don't feel comfortable with yours, cover them. Fine. I don't care. I would like to free the nipple.
Hashtag free the nipple.
Only time that
Wait, the crew in the background, two fine young gentlemen are like, yes.
Yeah, you boys can show your nipples. Why can't I show my nipples?
Oh, gosh.
Everybody gets to show their nipples but us. And we're the only ones that actually use them.
I love this. I love it.
So let's celebrate them.
Okay, so then help me as a mother with two daughters. They're now 19 and almost 23. And my oldest, she's got everyone are bigger than mine except yours, but basically it's you and me. And yesterday we're walking around Scottsdale and I'm like, babe, like, where's your bra? And she's like, I don't want one. And I'm like, Quinn. So I wanted her to cover them, and now I'm examining why.
Yeah.
Why did I want her to cover them?
Because, I mean, we judge what we deny. So, like, you would never do that. You would cover up. You would not want them to be moving around a lot and like showing like through, because you for some reason believe that it's a little inappropriate probably. It's like not professional or it's not mature. And there are definitely environments where I'm not going to do it. Like if I'm going on stage, if I'm doing like, there are certainly environments that I'm like, okay, yeah, bring the nipple covers. But because I don't need a bra to support anything. But there are times where for sure I like do the normal thing that everyone would do because it's respectful. But I think in just like walking everyday life and the things you do, they're not comfortable.
They're not.
They're not comfortable. Like the last place I want to wear them, let's say, is like on the golf course.
No,
like I mean, moving around and
general.
doing all the things, it's like I really would rather not have one on. You know, so there's just like, and so if I'm like in my regular personal life, I don't really care what people think of me. So I tend to be a little bit more risque.
Do you miss your breasts at all, the fake ones?
No,
Nothing.
Zero. Like I don't know why I did it. But then on the other hand, as soon as I say that, I'm like, but I got to share my story.
Yeah.
I am a first-hand learner, so I got to develop like a level of empathy for people that struggle with their body and struggle with things going on. I had all the time, the money, the discipline, the motivation. I had all of it. Like I was gonna figure it out. But now I'm imagining like you're a mom, you work full-time, you have kids and a husband, and you're trying to get bills paid, and you're like, you don't have the time to do it. You don't have the energy to do it. You don't have the money to do it.
Yeah.
And I also had all the resources. Like I know, if I don't know the doctor, I will know the doctor because the doctor knows the doctor. Like I am so well connected in the world through doing my podcast and through just being a public personality. Like I know so many people. So I had everything going for me. And it took a year and a half of like constant effort. And like the amount of modalities and things I tried, whether it was like NAD or peptides or gut protocols or coffee enemas at home or hyperbaric chambers or anything, like you name it, I did it. And so it just, and all the doctors too of like what things I should be doing. So fasting was another one that I hated. But I tried everything. I tried it all.
It's so interesting though, because yes, it is cultural. And you talked about it as, you know, helping you feel more feminine, sexier. And so then I guess it's like, all right, well, the right person is not going to care about that.
No, not at all. And really like the what makes you feel the most feminine and the most sexy is when you feel the most yourself. Like when you're the more comfortable with who you are and what you've done and just like how you show up in the world and like the like therapy that you do for, that's where I just came from.
Really?
Less triggers and all the different things and like healing aspects of yourself that have been, you know, lurking because you've been too busy in life or you just didn't notice, like those things. When you've done all that, then, you know, you don't care if someone doesn't like your boobs either. Like,
yes. It is interesting to me though, because I feel like you haven't cared about what people thought ever since you burst onto the scene in the early 2000s.
You're
It's
right.
what it feels like.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
But then
about that.
this is kind of the contrast of that.
Well, I mean, I cared about what I thought about myself. Like, and I like was like, it wasn't because a guy, like, if a guy told me to get boobs, I'd be like, I don't know, we swear on this? I think so, right? Like, get fucked. Yeah. Like, I like absolutely don't give a shit what you think.
Yeah.
It was because I wanted it. So, but I feel like that's, I don't know where that came from, but I feel like it's such a gift that I haven't cared what people think for most all of my life, really. Like, you know, there's things that I can remember when I was young and living in England and racing and how it felt like guys would like talk about me or like they were, you know, and they made me feel like life was a little too hard and I wasn't welcome. But it wasn't like, it was kind of more just how they treated me. I don't know if it's like what they thought about me or not, but you know, other than that point in time, I really don't care what people think. Yeah.
It's amazing. I mean, I'm sure you've dug deep. Like, is that mom, dad, something further back generational? Like, it's something that I wish you could have like rubbed your potion on my hands a long time ago too. You know, there now, but I hate when it takes, and it's our journey. It's part of it. I wouldn't actually change that, to be honest with you, because it gets you here to today.
Sure,
but
100%.
Where do you think that comes from? Because it's a true strength.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm gonna riff a little and sort of like see if we can come up with some things. I mean, I was always myself. Like, I felt like even racing or anything, like I did tons of sports growing up. I think sports give you confidence, and they help you be, social and socially comfortable. They also help you with challenges in life and failing and teamwork and all kinds of things. Like, sports are great. But I picked racing, and like I wanted to do that. So I've always done things that I want to do.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't a kid that like had a bunch of things that I didn't have to do, or like went to college for something I didn't really want to go to college for, or didn't know. Like, I did everything I wanted to do. I left high school when I was 16 and moved to England for racing. Like, I got a GED. Like, I did what I wanted to do. And I mean, my parents were obviously supportive of that, but because I've been so much myself my whole life, I feel like that helps you not care what people think, because if you're not doing what you want and somebody says something, there's just always going to be like messy feelings in there about I should be doing something else, so it hurts more. Or like, maybe if or you don't put the effort in. That's a big one. Like, if you don't like what you're doing, you're probably not going to put the right effort in. And then the things that people say to judge you will hurt a lot more, because you know that you're not trying hard enough. So I think that because I've been myself, done what I've wanted to do, always put in the effort, because I've also liked what I've done, I think that that's given me a lot of confidence. And I think that also my parents, I think as children, we really want our parents' attention. Like, and we don't care it's not important how we get it, it's that we get it. And so you see some kids acting out, and I think a lot of times that's because they don't get the attention that they want from their parents. And sometimes that attention isn't necessarily time, because we live in the real world where people have jobs and things like that, but like attention on how you're doing, and there for you, and like really know that they have your back, that they're supportive, that they're not trying to make you someone different, that they respect you also, like someone that actually cares for you, instead of just giving their time, but also like judging, like, man, shouldn't you be doing a little better, or man, if you would have done this other sport, maybe you'd be doing better, or like, and if they weren't, you want their love and like care. Does that make sense?
It does.
Like, you have kids. What comes up for you when I say that?
A lot. I'll write you the check later for the therapy session. Yeah.
So you seem like you have pretty good kids. So
well, no, they're awesome. Yeah, but it is. I said to Quinn, who's the oldest, just graduated college. She's going to be 23 at the end of May. And I'm like, I'm doing this for the first time too, with your first kid. Like, I've never had a 23-year-old college graduate.
That's good and vulnerable, though.
Yeah, and I've gotten, that's one thing I've gotten really good at, is just being vulnerable, which also comes with not caring. Like, it's all tied together, and I want to show them and others who will listen to us, don't hold that shit in. Let it go. It is such a gift to yourself when you let it out and share it, and to others who are also holding things in. So I try to share my crap with my kid, not too much, but like the cost of holding things in, the cost of being that people pleaser, and it does build up and changes your life completely. So I'm like, my goal now as a mother and as a public figure is to share it and get it out and say, be you. Like, people say it, you do you. I don't know that they really mean it. Like, I know that we mean it. And I definitely mean it as a mother to say, guys, don't do what I did. Like, don't wait as long.
I was going to say, what did you do wrong?
To be comfortable truly being myself, saying what I wanted, sharing my opinions when asked, and not changing it based on the audience or who's asking the question, a boss, a neighbor that you want to like you, right? I actually think that, and again, sharing your story with the health journey, I said this to the kids too, and it sounds dramatic, but whether it be the work stuff, going through a divorce, like all those things, I said, guys, please don't waste my pain. I don't know how I came up with it. It sounds dramatic, but it is. Like, we all have these things and some pain there. And take the lessons that you've seen from me and be better and change sooner. Love yourself sooner. And to me, none of it's wasted, especially if my kids can be better sooner.
Well, you never know how much you could be loved unless you give someone the opportunity to dislike you for something that you're scared about being disliked for.
Okay, say that again. That's
I don't know
really
if I'll be able
true.
to say it again. Like, I'll say it similarly, I'm sure. But basically, you'll never know how much you can be loved until you give somebody something to not love you for, and they still
love you. That's unconditional.
And you're like, and it shifts your orientation with it too. You learn to accept it in yourself, and everything levels up. Like, the love deepens, and the confidence rises, and the vulnerability gets more open. You just keep opening more, because when you can share and be loved for those things you're so scared of being judged for, like, that can do nothing else but enrich in it and deepen it, because for both of you, because someone else loves that you'll be honest and vulnerable and allow them the opportunity to love you when you don't love yourself.
Yes, so deep. It's
and
funny.
Then you can love yourself deeper too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so funny because, I mean, we only met in like September.
Yeah, I know.
On the campaign trail, doing something both of us said we would never do. We'll get to that in a minute.
In sports, there's two things you stay away from: religion and politics. And look at you with your red, white, and blue and your cross on.
Right? All of the above. Just, again, when you don't care. Where was I going? Oh, so, and then in November is when I met my now fiance, and I remember sharing with Danica, like, you're not gonna believe this. And she's like, really? Slow your roll. And I so appreciated that, because she's so honest. And I so appreciate that then and now.
Well, there was so much optimism a couple of months in. I'm like, we all have that, darling.
Honeymoon.
Everyone's going to marry someone after 3 months, 100%.
Yes.
But I only was cautioning you for your heart.
I know.
And so that you wouldn't get it broken, and you wouldn't, or test it. Like, if you're gonna go fast, throw it in the deep end.
Totally.
Right? Like, it was like, I think one of the things was like, maybe you guys hadn't even gone on a trip yet or something, or for longer than I know, something like that. And I'm like, may want to go on a vacation for like a week, together and see how that goes.
Well, because she was coming off of her month-long trip to Italy with your boyfriend.
Sure,
like,
right.
That's
so you're like,
long
look,
time.
a month is, maybe take a week and just see how that goes,
No, you're so right. And because
but test it.
You got to test it. And also, and you knew this too, I was coming off of a 20-year marriage, and at a certain age, you're like, okay, I'm somewhat tested, but there are other levels. The tie-in here is that very recently with him, his name is Dave, he's fabulous, you're gonna love him. There's some things that, there's some shame about. There's a long list of imperfections. I'm okay with that now.
What you were gonna say something, a shame about what?
Certain things I'm ashamed about that he now sees. So to your point about that's when you really know if someone loves you.
Or did he just see it?
Oh, all of the above. All of the above.
Some
I've shown him
of both.
I've shown him. He's heard me acknowledge it, which is important, and he's just seen it. Because it's hard not to.
What happened? What was the dynamic when he could see something that you weren't really trying to share with him? Like, when he brought it up, was it like awkward or?
It wasn't even words at first. He just hugged me. And then I'm like, to a complete emotional meltdown, because I'm like, oh gosh, he still loves me. And it made me realize how much I was holding back in the past for fear that I wouldn't still be loved. And it wasn't even conscious.
Yeah.
It wasn't. But so now, full circle, as you say that, and of course I have gone through that, and I fully recognize this man and how he loves me and how he's choosing to, but it makes me sad in many ways for the past, even though it's perfectly imperfect, because I'm like, we beat ourselves up.
It feels deeper now because of that, though.
Yeah,
it can
but now
make
I'm
you
not
feel
afraid.
like this because of it, like because you have the contrast.
Correct. Where we're not afraid of that. That's when we give more and open up more.
Yeah.
And then the most important part now, maybe, yes, one-on-one and how we live in our relationships, but to share this stuff, I feel like that's why we're here now. You have accomplished everything and then some in your career, which is incredible. But what you've done since then to me is as if not more important, including the health journey and sharing that stuff. I don't know that people fully appreciate, not just women, but men who have the courage to open up and share their crap.
So
the difference that it makes.
Well, it's all the people that got into that really scary, vulnerable point where they like didn't know if they wanted to share it, right? Those are the real brave moments. Those are the brave moments when you're like, all right, I'm gonna go out on the limb here, and maybe people will reject me. Maybe I'll lose my job. Maybe I'll lose friends. And they did it anyway, because the only way that you can, in my opinion, and maybe this is because this is my experience, is that the only time I've ever been lonely was when I was in a relationship where I was furthest from myself.
Ooh.
When I'm by myself, I've never really been lonely. I've sure been bored off my ass. I'm like, give me something to do. I need to go back to work. But I've never been lonely. Like, the only time I've felt like lonely, like that sadness, is when I'm furthest from myself.
Yep.
So the closer you are to yourself and who you are, the happier you're going to be. And you won't feel those feelings of despair that you get in those like distant places. And then when you get close to yourself and when you know more about who you are, just like you're experiencing with your relationship and the work you're doing now, is that when you're closer to who you are, you're more in alignment, the universe delivers more of that to you at a rate that you could not expect.
Overwhelming.
Everything goes so fast. You're like, wow. And you like, the universe is lining up stuff that you couldn't even do. Like there's stuff that's happening. I'm like, I'm pretty resourceful, but I could have never done that. Like even just in the moments of like thinking like, oh man, I'm so tired. And then all of a sudden you get the call and you're like, hey, I got to cancel. Like, I'm sorry. It's like, you can't line that up. Or like, oh, the flight got delayed. And you're like, thank God, because I wanted to, like, things that you can't orchestrate, right? But the universe does it. And so when you get those like synchronicities or nods from the universe, or you realize that everything's just working out for you and it keeps doing that, and the right person that you need to meet for something walks through your life at some point, and you're like, oh wow, I was just thinking about actually something about this, and you're the perfect person to talk to. Like, anyway, that's when you realize that you're in alignment. And so that doesn't happen until you're closer to yourself and you're doing the things that you love, because when you do the things you love, it accelerates that. So
you couldn't do that though when you were racing, right?
I mean, the things I'm doing now, no.
Right. But I mean, just with what you're saying.
Well, I didn't have the experience. I couldn't say these things, so I didn't have the experience of it. And so I guess and we're sharing and we're hoping that it lands with people and it helps them. And I guess the truth is that until you, it's almost like getting an astrology reading or a psychic reading. And they're like, well, in April of 2026, you're going to come into some money, and then you're going to be like, and so it's like stuff that's out there, but it's like, it doesn't land until you look back, and you're like, you go look back at like the reading from the last year, and you're like, oh, wow, shit came true. It's like hindsight is what you need. You can't, we're sharing these things, and a lot of people are still going to have to go through their experiences in life, and they're still going to have hard times, but the seed is planted of how to deal with it, or the fact that you're not alone, the fact that this is normal. Like, you're gonna remember this conversation, and something's gonna pop up, or you'll be going through life and you'll be thinking like, I'm lonely, and maybe you'll remember, be like, okay, wait, maybe I'm like furthest from myself, and like then it'll do something. It's not gonna save you from pain. It's inherent of this. I believe that pain and like difficulty is like inherent to this life.
It is.
To being a human. It's part of the polarity of being a human, the good and the bad. You can't know one without the other. So you're gonna get in it. It's just like, how well will you navigate it? And how quickly can you move through it? That's really it.
What's the most amount of pain you've experienced?
The breakup with Aaron in 2020. Yeah.
Why?
Because it was sudden. It felt like it was my life. So like, when you live with somebody and you know, like it's your whole life, you know, it's your dentist appointment, it's your hairdo, it's your, it's like your clothes, it's your mailing address, it's like everything. And because the nature of the relationship was emotionally abusive, so that will like wore me down to nothing. Someone that, you know, people could never imagine that I would lack complete any confidence or belief in the simple things about who I am. Like everything was torn to bits, and he leaves a trail of blood. I don't think I'm saying too much, you know, earth-shattering stuff after we've, you know, there's been enough out there.
There has been, especially recently, and
But it gave me the greatest gift.
Right.
The greatest gift, which was myself. You know, I knew I was like, wow, like, you know, it gave me the greatest gift of how much I needed to show up for myself and take care of myself.
So that was that lonely time.
Yeah, that was the furthest I mean, oh my God, yeah. That was, yeah.
When, in hindsight, when you were in it, you said the phrase emotionally abusive. Did you feel it at the time and ignored it? Or is this in hindsight as you have recovered and gotten to know yourself again?
Hindsight, I ignored it. But in real life, it was just like, I just feel like I would say all the time, I'm built for hard things. I can handle hard things. And so I just saw it as a hard thing. And I'm like, and my nature is to try harder and do more. And I was like, what if I don't do it for the right person? Like, what if I just get a stick up my ass about this and just get too proud and like go like, you know what, I'm done. Instead of going, man, just try a little harder. Because, you know, what if you look back and think, man, I wish I would have tried. Like, I never want that in my life. I wish I would have tried. That will never be in my back of my mind. This is probably why I don't have regret. And I don't have shame. Somebody's describing shame being someone not liking who you are, which I told you how much I am myself and how I've done everything that I've wanted to do since I was a kid. So I don't have shame and I don't have regret because I know that everything leads to the next thing. So like you said, you know, like you said the same thing. It's all part of the path. It's all part of learning the lessons and becoming who you are. Again, it's not that you're not going to go through hard times. It's like, but learn how to get through them quicker. Learn how to get through them more peacefully. Learn how to also get into the fucking mud and get into the pain. Like, you can't ignore it if you have a problem, whether it's like something emotional or a pattern that keeps showing up. Like, you got to get in the mud about it. You got to get into the feeling, go to therapy, like read the book, talk to your friends, like sit in the pain. Nothing comes from ignoring that pain other than it resonates in the body, the issues are in the tissues then, and now you have stuck energy, and now you have cancer, or now you have, you know, whatever. Like, there's a wild cascade effect from storing things.
Absolutely. The one that I think our generation and maybe more so because I got 9 years on you. Like,
that's nothing at our age now.
Yeah, I hope not. I mean, it feels, I think with experiences and wisdom and like we are basically the same age, yes, in that way. But this generation, my kids' generation, et cetera, like now they do have, I mean, they're dealing with a whole bunch of crap, but they do have more resources, and we are speaking up about what we did and didn't do more so than my parents did, for instance, right? So I do think that they're going to hopefully have some benefits from that. But there's so much praise and toughness, and I can do hard things. I'm built for this.
Right.
I'm not a quitter.
Right.
That's how I was with my marriage.
Right.
Steeles don't quit.
Right.
And so we're praised for that, and that's what makes you great.
Right.
So to flip that, I guess in your case, and in my case in some ways too, but in your case with that relationship with Aaron, it had to be forced upon you because you weren't going to quit.
Yeah. That's right.
And then it's forced upon you, and you have to like completely examine every aspect of your being. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So it sounds like you're grateful for that terrible public experience.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And the closer to death you get, the stronger you get. It's just the way it goes, you know? Like, that's why, you know, you get the Goggins of the world and, you know, all those wonderful speakers about that, especially men that are like, do hard things.
Yes.
Or Jordan Peterson, or, you know, great minds and philosophers and, you know, psychologists and psychiatrists, like, you know, do hard things, right? That's the way that you build confidence in yourself. That's the way you grow. Otherwise, you know, you're not gonna, and so it's gonna be a roller coaster, right? Because hard things are hard, but you can't experience. So imagine that, like, whatever you're willing to take on, however hard that is, I guess that's down, right? You better believe you're gonna get the reciprocal nature of that on the upside. If you don't try that many hard things, guess what? You're probably not gonna experience that much greatness, right? You're gonna live that mediocre life, and like I couldn't imagine a mediocre life. It'd be the worst thing in the world. Like,
I know.
Like, I can't imagine just being satisfied with like not ever evolving and growing, not ever getting into new projects and doing new things, not ever growing as a human being and getting better as a human being. I hope to God I'm not the same person today as I was a year ago, and that I will be in 1 year.
Right.
Like, I hope I've changed for the better. I mean, when I think about how I operate and intellectually and emotionally and mentally in the world, like, I don't know what I don't even remember what it was like 10 years ago. I don't remember what that was like. I don't have any of the same thoughts or any of the same
Wow.
Like, everything is, I don't remember. But because I've just done so many things to grow and evolve.
Yeah.
And question the universe and how everything works. And I'm like, you know,
You dive in head
flower.
first.
I'm like, is this, well, nothing here is solid. That's one thing. You know, everything is energy. So.
Okay. So I love that, because, and you've been very open about your spirituality, right? This is such an interesting conversation in general in the world today, because does that mean God? Does that mean a specific religion, faith, spirituality? Like, how do you define
Well, I think
what you
these
practice?
are all just different ways of describing the same thing. You know, I mean, if we want to look at God as being like a person, like, and that he has all these attributes and does all these things, we can also look at God as a frequency, and he can do all those things. It's like when they compare an alien and an angel, and they're like, not from this planet, like, you know, interdimensional, or, you know, like, they describe the traits, and it's like, they're the same.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, we're just using different words to describe it, like maybe we're picturing it different. And it's all about however you picture it that resonates with you, that makes it feel real for you. So I err more on the like scientific, like tangible side. Probably the question that threw me the deepest into spirituality was asking the question, what is God? Not who, what? Is it really a man in a chair in the sky with a beard? Is it, you know, an energy? So yeah, asking that question was probably the thing that threw me into it. And that was probably back in like 2017, 16,
Okay.
16, probably 2016 was when I really got ramping up.
You'd retired?
No, I retired in
Year
18, but 16, 17 was my last full year. But yeah, I mean, I was kind of on the tail end.
And actually, that was your Aaron time, wasn't it?
Well, that was just before.
Just before.
Right,
and then
as soon as I retired.
And then you were doing that together, I feel like, some of your social media stuff.
Yeah.
But you were experiencing that together.
Yeah. I mean, I was much more the spiritual one, and he was much more the conspiracy theory one.
Okay, and that remains today, correct? Yeah. But
so, because I remember being a year in and being like, I feel like, I'm like, I've gotten so far away from like the positive spirituality part. So like, I went back into it, and I got back to like my Abraham Hicks videos in the morning and all the different like things that make me feel better. Instead of thinking about how unjust or, you know, malicious the world is, or how much lies there is out there. It's like, that doesn't really make you feel good. I think the awareness of it's really good, but like the more spiritual nature is what it definitely feels a little bit better. So awareness is good, but like, it's not, living there was not.
So cool, because my dream and my prayer in this in-between phase for my marriage, and probably still during at the end of it, to today was to have a partner to take that journey with. Spirituality, faith. Every day, no matter where we are, he's in Milwaukee this week, I'm in Arizona, and then to Ohio, and then to Florida, and we send each other. He has the book itself, so he'll take a picture of that daily scripture reading. And it starts with strict scripture, and then it gives you an everyday example. I say it in English for me, like break down what the scripture means.
Let me understand this.
Yeah, and it gives an everyday example, and then ends with another scripture line, and then we discuss it. And and how we can apply it to today, or how I could have been better yesterday had I had that thought in my mind. And there is a lot of power in having someone to take that journey with, because I have so many questions.
Well, you're growing together too, which is,
you
know, a lot of times in relationships, I think you either grow together or you grow apart, or one grows and the other doesn't. So you're growing together. Because you're not going to be the same person. You're going to grow. And also, if you're a person that wants to grow, you better be with somebody that wants to grow.
Right.
Or there will be a time cap on this, you know?
Do you have that now?
Well, I don't know. I mean, but I can say that one of the things that I've felt the most sad about is growing out of someone. And I've definitely done that, where it's great in the beginning, and then you're just I don't think we're the same. This isn't going to work. So yeah, you need to be with somebody like-minded. I mean, I think I saw, speaking of, you were just with Charlie Kirk, and he was doing one of his great little college talks, you know, and a guy came up and said something that he was dating this girl, and they had a lot of the same beliefs, but there were some that were different, and they voted differently, even though they kind of have similar beliefs, but the voting was different. Anyway, and he's like, what do I do, you know? And he's like, I'm gonna be honest with you, bud. He's like, I think you need to find a new girl. He's like, because you need to, when you wake up in the morning and turn the news on, you don't need to start an argument.
Right.
There's already plenty of things to argue about in the world. You don't need to start it from the first thing that happens in the day. And so that's true. You need to be with someone that is like-minded and of the same things. And then on top of that wants to grow. And, you know, and I also think, you know, as sad as it is, sometimes there's just, not everyone is meant to stay forever, and they're maybe meant for lessons. They're meant for part of your growth or their growth. And so sometimes they're just seasons. That's sad, because I my Libra rising just loves the idea of love forever. You know, this just deep, expansive, forever and never ending, all in, love you no matter what love. Yeah. But I also have to accept that I've been part of that equation too, with growing. So, you know, that's probably just the mirror of it. Because we're just holographic. So, you know, I'm going to always sprinkle in these I love silly, universal, possibilities about how it really works.
Do you think you'll, no, not do you think you will. Do you want to get married again?
Yeah, I love love.
You do?
I totally love love. Yeah. I'm not a hopeless romantic. I just love love. I love so hard. I love so hard and so much. All you have to do is read a bunch of stuff about Aries, and you'll know who I am, all the way in.
And then when you go all in and you get hurt, which all of us have before, I think a natural reaction is to say, okay, I'm going to back off. I'm not going to give that person my heart the next time, because look how it ended, you know? How do you balance that when you have been? And again, you're not alone.
I don't know how to be any different.
Yeah.
Because I can't be happy if I do it different. I would never be happy doing it differently. So maybe it comes and goes, but at least I'm happy while it's coming.
So what's the priority in a person for you now that as you've evolved, in a partner?
Yeah, I mean, some of the most important traits of someone is honesty, adventure. I love adventure. I love doing new things, going new places, having flexibility to travel and do that. Intelligence is really important for me. So I think I'm called a sapiosexual. Like
What?
I get turned on by intelligence.
I haven't heard that before.
Sapiosexual.
Sapiosexual.
Another thing is sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
Like to be able to laugh. Laughing is really, really important. So those are some of the most important things for me in someone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've experienced this your whole life too. When you are not just a very successful independent woman, like you don't need anybody's money, anybody's fame, you got it all taken care of. What I found on a lesser level, without having all those tangible things that you have, men are very much intimidated by that. A lot of men can't handle that success, that independence, even though they say they want that. Can they? Along with that in itself is a lot.
Yeah.
But then when you have the kind of personality that Danica Patrick has.
I was just thinking before it comes out of my head, similarly, I think women say like you said at the start, like, we don't need anything, I can do it all myself. Men think they want the but they really do women really want to do everything? I don't.
No.
I can, but I don't. And the one thing I just realized in therapy the other day was I've always sort of framed things for a really very long time, decades. I don't need anyone.
Yes.
But you know what? I do.
Yes.
I do. And it hits different because it's vulnerable. It's because if I need you and you're gone, that's gonna hurt, as opposed to no, I don't need you. I can totally do my life. But the truth is that look at how much emotions and relationships rule the way you feel and how you go about your life and how you feel every day. It's okay, you got to admit that you need it.
Yeah,
it's
okay. It doesn't mean we're weak.
Yeah.
But I remember very vividly until I met Dave, and he's had to get on me about it because I'm like, no, I can do it. And I didn't want to be a burden to anybody. And that's why I was like, I'm fine. I don't need that. And look where that got me, But it wasn't out of let me show them how strong I am.
What
it's
were
because
you afraid of would happen if you were a burden?
That they'd leave.
Exactly.
And he's not leaving.
Right. And so.
And if not leave, then just quit on me.
Right.
While
you're
staying
you're too
right
much
there.
Work. God, you're a lot. Exactly.
To not be a lot is what I think we were taught as girls. And then when you're working in a completely male-dominated industry, nobody can compare to what you did. There's just no one. Because along the way, if you're working at a television network, there are other women executives, there's women, whatever, peers. There were no peers at those top levels. It was just you. And so then you feel the need to say, no, look, I got this. I am just as good as you, if not better, because of the intuitive things that women have that men don't. But you're trained. In order to succeed, you have to be tough and not needy and whiny and all the things that we take on as stereotypes. Yeah. So then in a relationship, it's almost like it's a split personality, and it's very difficult to separate.
And how can someone really feel like you love them if you don't ask them for anything? They must feel very transactional, right? What do I even do for this person? They could leave in a second. But when they start doing things for you because you need them, you're a team now.
Or a team.
And I've probably, and by when I say probably, I'm definitely been that girl that just does everything.
And what we're doing, when we do that, is we're not allowing them to show us their love language and to be the man that we long for to take care of us. Yeah. Not pay all of our bills and speak for us, but to be a partner, a teammate, and that alpha male that we say that we want, who is a leader and a nurturer. And a badass in his own way too, while uplifting you to be the greatest version of Danica that you can be.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're not allowing it. So that's when we look in the mirror.
Yeah.
And I take that, not blame, because that's too strong of a word, but just acknowledging that.
Acknowledge that pattern.
The pattern, and then the why, and the why behind it. So, do you want kids?
I've never, I would say, like, as life has gone on, it's increased a little bit, but I'm definitely not someone that ever had the, like, aching womb for a child. No. I would say that I'm, like, highly ambitious. I like to be busy. Probably gonna call that selfish a little bit, because I know that kids are a lot of work. But I'd totally be open to it. It's just not something that is a huge priority for me.
Okay.
And I think there's a little bit of just sort of like conditioning, because like while I raced, it couldn't have happened.
No way.
Like there's no way. And you look at anyone that has one, they don't come back. Mm-mm. And like on top of that, you've got sponsors and you've got a lot of other things hinging on, like, it's not just like you don't just decide to go like I'm gonna jump back on the horse. It's just waiting in the stable. No, it's a very expensive stable. It's a very expensive horse. Yes. So it's not like you can just sort of flip a switch and do it. So it was never just going to be a reality within my career. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'd totally be open to it. It's just it's not a driving force. And sometimes I wonder if that's been like part of like relationships is, you know, for those who want children, like it's like it anchors the relationship. Like that guy's going to be needed to make it and then take care of it and be a partner. Like, you know, talk about being needed. And also the amount of like respect and honor that it is for someone to say, I want to have a child with you. Like that's half of your genetics, you know, right?
That's forever.
So like that's the highest compliment is like, I want to make more of you, right?
It's true.
So there's like, the fact that it's not been something that I've like really said, it's not like I want to have a baby with you. It's like, I don't know, it's just been not part of my language. Yeah. It's not part of my thought process.
Maybe so, not yet, maybe. And maybe
not
never.
Yet.
Yeah. Would you do it alone? Would you have to be married to?
I have no interest in having a kid by myself, though.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say never, because we just don't do that in life.
We have learned our lesson.
We've learned our lesson, but that is definitely not something I think about. Mm-hmm. Is like, no.
You know, you talk about
you know what I would do?
Yeah.
I would have like 20 dogs.
You have 3 now, or just 2?
I have 2.
You have 2 that travel with you a lot.
As much as possible. But I would have tons of dogs. I'd have like a dog shelter, which would just be my house. Okay. I'd build a house for the dogs.
A really nice casita in Scottsdale, maybe?
Yeah, exactly.
Really fancy one?
A bunker.
Yes. You know, I wonder, because what I found when I've always stayed super busy.
Yeah.
And then extra busy when I wasn't facing certain things.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, really? Less?
Yeah.
So you'd follow. So if you were not doing that well, or you were emotionally kind of down, you would be less busy and you'd handle
No, more.
You'd be more
like,
busy.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I didn't want to face certain things or address it, it's like, I don't have time. And here's proof, you know? So, and I'm not saying actually at all that's why you're so busy, that you're avoiding anything.
I was going to say, I need to stop being so busy.
Yeah, well, no, but you are as deep as anyone, and you will go there with yourself about anything. It's super cool. It's obvious. Been very public about that. But I do wonder sometimes how you do handle all of it. Because despite being retired from racing, you're nothing else. It's like the opposite now. I mean, real quick, list it between the vineyard that you have in Napa and your wine.
Yeah. I mean, there's the wine, there's podcasts, there's speaking engagements, there's projects I'm working on, there's vacations. So like part of what I do is sometimes I just go away for a couple of weeks or a month or a week or a vacation. So so some of it's elective stuff. Race broadcasting, so I do some F1
still
stuff.
A big deal,
Indy 500's coming up. So those are time consuming. I don't do they're time consuming when I do one, because it's many days. But yeah, I mean, that kind of stuff. Learning how to play golf, learning how to play tennis now, skiing. So having like new activities.
It's nonstop.
And then like politics was really time. So it always seems like something pops up. You're like, oh, what was that?
Right.
Or like shit, for a while it was health, right? Like it was just like appointments for everything, and you know. So it's always something that keeps me busy. But I'd say it's pretty well balanced right now at times. Like I'm coming off of like 6 days straight of just like, I didn't even have time to have lunch yesterday. So that's stupid.
You know better than that.
Yeah, I know. Exactly. So I'm like eating a diced chicken and diced avocado in a cup on the golf course because I'm playing golf with somebody I need to play golf with, and I'm like, that was my lunch.
Oh my gosh, no wonder. But protein. I will say I have witnessed you like some food. Like you eat. You have to keep up that
also,
training program.
The more muscle you have, the more you can eat.
Yeah.
Because muscle burns at a higher metabolic rate. So if you want to maintain your muscle, you need to eat enough calories to maintain it. That's why, you know, when people lose weight really fast, they lose a lot of muscle too.
Yeah.
Because the easiest thing to get rid of for the body, because it takes so much energy to maintain, is muscle.
Yep.
So it's metabolically expensive.
Well, and then when you're on the road and you're crazy busy, it is hard to keep up. That's my biggest struggle right now, is, okay, and your time zones matter. And then, well, you got to be on this show, 8:30 Eastern time is 5:30 here. Screwed, I'm not getting up before that to work out. And then it's legit, but they are excuses. So that balance, like, it has to be a complete
commitment.
Luckily,
I don't work out that much anymore. I only work out like 2 or 3 days a week for an hour. So I was gone for almost a week. I didn't work out for a week. Like it was like Wednesday, and then I left Thursday, and then I got home Tuesday, so I worked out Wednesday. I worked out 1 week later. So, and I still make like gains. Like is
that normal?
I don't know.
Honestly, you know it's not, right?
I think I'm just dialed, you know? Like I eat enough protein. I lift weights like real freaking heavy. And I don't really veer off the plan that much.
What's your sugar intake?
I don't really. I mean, there's these Simple Mills crackers. They're like a honey cinnamon cracker, and I feel like they're like my crack that I live off of. But
getting crazy.
I mean,
crackers.
I eat sourdough bread, so it's like that's, you know,
but like
carbohydrate.
Chocolate, sweets.
And I love a little dark chocolate at the end of the night. But
see, what did we talk about earlier?
But
dark chocolate. That's where it's at.
But other than that, like I don't even eat that much fruit. I don't really eat that much vegetables. I mostly just eat protein. I eat a lot of, actually I had breakfast twice today because I went to the grocery store because, again, I just got home and then I had not enough time to eat lunch yesterday, which meant I didn't have anything in my fridge but eggs and bread. So and then I went to the grocery store this morning, right kind of before I went to my therapy appointment and then came here. But I realized everything I got was frozen, so I ate breakfast twice.
Oh my gosh.
Which meant I ate 3 eggs and 2 whites this morning and a piece of toast. And then for lunch, I had 2 eggs and 2 whites and some caviar. I put some freaking caviar on it.
That's when you know you've made it, is when your breakfast just casually has caviar on it. That's so crazy. What about wine?
Oh, yes, that's important for the diet. Yes, we're never going to quit that. Gabriella doesn't drink, and she likes to joke, my doctor, and she likes to tell me it's a bad thing. And I'm like, my doctor says my labs look great. So
nice try, Dr. Gabrielle.
But I love wine. And yeah, I mean, I make wine in California, so.
You have to.
Yeah. I mean, I make it because I like it.
Yeah, well, and then, you know, for many people, like you balance your life and your food choices based on that. So if I really want wine, which is quite often,
yes.
What am I not going to have here? Because now they're saying, okay, stop. This is kind of going crazy right now, right? Like, stop drinking altogether. No alcohol. It's all terrible. And then, okay, if you're going to do it, well, then do tequila and then do vodka. And that's the order of preference by these doctors. And wine's way down here. And I'm like, we need to bring it back up.
Jesus turned water into wine is his first miracle. This is in the Bible.
Thank you. What are we doing? So help me.
But also, the poison is always in the dose. It's always in the dose.
You don't need 4 glasses.
If you're gonna drink a bottle of wine every single night, you ain't gonna function that well.
Yeah.
If you have 3 tequilas a night, you're probably not gonna function that well, right? Like, it's all about, you know, some level of moderation. And also, let's not overlook the psychological benefit to relaxing. Yeah. So like, even as a biological marker, I used a continuous blood glucose monitor. Actually, speaking of, the first one that I ever used was from a company, this was back in 2021, I think. It was when Levels, the company Levels, was in beta. So they were just like having people test their product. And that's the company that Casey Means was a part owner, and she was like the science that helped. She was a scientist or the doctor that helped develop the program. And so I talked to Casey Means, who's now up for Surgeon General.
Amazing.
I know.
Yep.
So I was like, so I talked to her many, many years ago, just about like, blood sugar and foods and how to work. So I'm super happy for her. But anyway, having that CGM on, I was able to see that when I would drink a glass of wine, my blood sugar would go down because I relaxed.
Wow.
So it makes you go into more of a parasympathetic mode. Yes.
Interesting. I look back to my pregnancies, and I had 3 in less than 4 years. And actually, when my third was born, my first was still 3. On TV. I don't remember much of that time, sadly.
It's a blur.
But like third trimester, especially with the second and third kid, and then working, and like chaos. And my husband at the time was a stay-at-home dad, but I was the one that was, so doing all the working. And then you're the mom, so he was great at what he did when they were little like that. But mom's still the mom, and so that last pregnancy, third trimester, doctor's like, "You're fine to have a glass of wine." I'm like, "Wait, what?" He's like,
"This would have changed my life. You should have told me this 3 years ago."
Hello, especially that third trimester. The baby's fully formed. Like, you're not going to poison it.
Yeah.
But the importance of that blood pressure not being so high, and if that half a glass of red wine is going to calm you down, that's better than the opposite where you're stressed out. Have the wine, and it's so telling because we're taught one thing.
Yeah.
And everything in moderation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like I had a lot of wine on the campaign trail. I know that I did, actually, and with really good people. We didn't have that much together, sadly. I told her once, by the way,
when we brought red wine on that plane, and then the guy spilled it all over the floor in the back, and I was like, "Oh shit!" And like it was me who, like, I feel like we bought it at a restaurant.
Yes.
And brought it, and
then later he's like, "This is why we don't bring red wine on the plane, on the jet."
And you're like,
yes. Well, Danica's like, on my jet, we do.
Yeah, that's right.
There are priorities. Yeah,
that's right.
I think you remember. Oh, first of all, I did tell you when I met you that I saved years ago. I saved my bottle of Danica Rosé because the glass is so pretty and the flowers on it. Like, I still have it. And I'm like, oh, now I actually know her. It's super cool. But I remember writing you on Instagram after you came out of the closet as someone who cares about your country, God forbid. And I was so, in a cool, supportive way, just so proud of you, because I knew you had never gone there. Why would you have? Just like I hadn't years prior, and then all of a sudden. And I think I was just so proud and happy because I knew firsthand what that was like. And then I saw the comments. You said you wanted to
share it. You're like, I wish I could say the things you're saying. That's where you were at then.
Absolutely, yes. And because before you really came out at the Turning Point event, I mean, some of the stuff you were just putting out there here and there, like little drops, which wasn't actually making a statement of who you're voting for, because you actually weren't voting before 2024.
Well, I've actually made a statement about who I'm voting for according to the way that the world operates right now when I was 19, when I got a tattoo of an American flag on me.
Isn't that funny? Isn't that comical?
I know.
If you respect the flag.
You know what I ended up buying? So like, I was like, sometimes part of my shtick on the campaign trail when I'd talk is I'd say that when I was in high school, I had an American flag jacket with USA down the arm. It was like Wilson's leather, like American flag jacket. And so I went on like, Etsy or something like that. And I found it, and I found one, and I bought one. I haven't worn it anywhere yet, but I have that American flag.
When are you pulling that out?
I should have brought it. Damn it, I should have worn it.
I know.
I should have rolled into the interview and I found it.
The next Turning Point event that you go to.
Exactly.
Yeah. It was so cool being backstage with you. Like, I think about Pittsburgh, the rally in Pittsburgh.
The one that was outside.
The one that was outside. Yeah. Was that what day was that? Was that?
Before the election?
Before the election. I don't even remember. It's all a blur.
Been like a Wednesday or Thursday.
No, it was a weekend day. I feel like it was a weekend day in Pennsylvania.
Maybe it was...
And I don't remember. It's all a blur. But
Tuesday was election.
Correct.
Right?
Monday was when we were
So then maybe it was Saturday.
Yeah, because Monday is when we were in North Carolina. Boots on the ground with hurricane stuff with Tulsi. One of those days.
It wasn't Monday. It had to have been Sunday. Or
I think it was Sunday. Anyway, this is how chaotic it was.
Yeah.
One of my favorite pictures is you, me, and Tulsi sitting behind the stage itself.
Yeah.
And remember what was behind us? The truck.
The snipers. With
And the
sniper
snipers
above.
on top. Because this is,
Yeah.
of course, coming after what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
I remember
exactly.
being like, we're so vulnerable at this point because we're on stage for a Trump rally of all things. The three of us, including Tulsi, could ever have imagined doing, right? I mean, Tulsi was a liberal. She was on the left. You didn't care about politics. I was just afraid to talk.
That first AmFest, I saw Tulsi speak, and I went on Instagram and sent her a DM and said, well, I saw that she followed me. And I was like, oh. And then I was like, oh, well, I'm cheering for you. Like, you know, you had a really great speech, and I'm here if you need anything, and like, you know, just said like, great job. And she was like, holy crap, coming from you. She's like, I'm a huge fan. Anyway, then that was December. So in February, I think I interviewed her for her book when she had her book come out. She was like very instrumental in really getting me going with the politics because she asked me to come be the, she asked me to like moderate, there
that's right.
for her and Bobby in Vegas. And then I went and did JD in North Carolina, moderated his event, his rally. So yeah, and then she asked me to kind of tag along for the last week of the campaign, which you were on most all of it. I think the only thing you weren't at was that first stop in Atlanta.
Yeah, I had a
which
previous
was wild.
thing.
When I was thinking about like who was there, I was like, Kristi Noem.
Yep.
Sarah Huckabee.
Yep.
Tulsi. Catherine Levitt was the moderator.
Yes.
And myself, and I was like, I'm really the only oddball here. I'm like the one that's like, everybody else got a big boy job, you know, and I'm like, whoa, what am I doing there? But it was cool.
That's why it was so important that you were
and
there.
Laura Trump. Sorry.
Of course, Laura.
And Laura.
Yes, yes. I know I had something at Penn State that weekend, and I was so bummed. That's the thing. Everything happened at last second with this stuff on the campaign trail. You're like, wait, you want me there across the country tomorrow?
Yeah, yeah.
So
I realized that didn't really end there for the most part. A lot of things in politics are pretty last minute. And then there's also two other things. They don't care about eating. Food is not important, and water is also not important at all.
Remember on the jet, and you're like, what are we eating? Is this what we're eating? What are we doing here?
You mean on Trump Force One?
No. Well, that was amazing. On the jet that day.
The other guy's jet. Yeah, that was like.
By the way, we sound obnoxious right now. No, not that jet.
Yeah,
this jet.
yeah. I mean, all champagne problems, but there was no champagne.
There was nothing.
There was no champagne. But it was like, yeah. I mean, yes, there was like pizza bites or something. I was like,
no, we need a little bit more. Not the kind of protein I was looking for.
Yeah.
I think that was such really the coolest part is to see so many different people, in this case women, coming together with diverse backgrounds with the same message, which is really true diversity and diversity of thought.
God, there's so many women doing big boy jobs. Like, and I say big boy loosely, like just as an expression, of course.
Sure.
But I was just in DC, and I also met Brooke Rollins for the first time, who's like, again, there's a lot of titles, but she's basically in charge of kind of like ag and like all the things that we're doing in this country with agriculture. She's the one that just was on, she was just standing there next to Trump talking about us doing a deal, tariff trade deal with the UK to export our beef there. So when I sat down with her, a couple of days ago, she said she was going to England, and so that's what she was going to England for. And then I saw, one of the people too, you were there with Kelly Loeffler.
Yeah. Which
Tall,
one was that?
Blonde hair, long blonde hair.
Yeah, from Georgia.
Yeah, exactly. Well, now she is in charge of labor, right? So she's in charge of like, small businesses. So.
And do you remember when she was canceled as the former owner of the Atlanta Dream, one of them, the WNBA team. Yep. And because I don't remember all the details because I was at ESPN then actually, but as a more conservative member of the WNBA, which is a big freaking deal, they didn't like what she stood for, and the players, even on her team, revolted against her, and so she was really canceled and almost forced to sell the team. And it's just another example of Kelly's strength, for example, for coming through that.
I did an event here in town that was like it raised money for the Republican Party to help for funds to give to Republican candidates across Arizona to help with the vote. Across the board. And anyway, so we went to this guy's house, and Janae Champ, who is, again, there's a lot of titles. She's like Republican representative of, there's a lot of titles.
Yeah.
But she got into politics because she worked in the hospital and she wouldn't get the vaccine. So she's like, that's what threw her into politics.
Yep. It can be one little thing that makes people say, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. And you're actually completely contradicting what you've been preaching all these years.
For me, it was saying I love this country.
Yeah.
That's
and then it actually drove you to vote for the first time.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you gotten flack for that? The fact that it took you till 2024?
I think there was some people that was like, how can we really be listening to someone who's never even voted before? But then on the other hand, there's a huge push within campaign, efforts to get first-time voters out there.
Yeah.
So I was that.
You were that person.
Yeah. And there's got to be an impetus. There's,
absolutely.
You know what I mean? And it wasn't like in my family, it was some massive important thing that they were like, it's your responsibility to vote. You know, my parents didn't care if I didn't vote. So there had to be some kind of impetus at some point in time. And I guess I always had a belief that my vote didn't really matter. It's just one. There's millions voting,
Yeah.
But I realized just now too, also, and I also felt like politicians, it took forever to get things done, and it didn't really matter.
Yeah.
But we're seeing it does.
It does.
What a time to be alive.
But I was just grateful that you said it, because some people, there might be actual embarrassment. Okay, I'm a 40-some-year-old woman, and why haven't I done it? And who cares? The point is what? Just like with Charlie Kirk going on these campuses, I'm never going to change these kids. Actually, look, you are. And by saying, I didn't care either, but here's why I believe we have to now.
Well, it was at a rally. It was at JD's rally in North Carolina that a woman asked a question, and JD was answering, and she hadn't voted before, and I said, I've never voted before either.
Yeah. So. And that to me is an example of vulnerability, because it's
exactly, because I could look a little dumb. Here I am with a microphone and JD Vance, and I've never voted before, but I'll try to sing out in politics, Yeah,
but trust me.
I know what I'm talking about.
Do me a favor and take people back to Monday before the election, Grand Rapids, Michigan. Actually, no, beginning of the day, North Carolina, Asheville, North Carolina, Buncombe County, and how that day began and how that day ended.
Oh my God. I mean, we started in North Carolina because we were there the night before, right? And what did we do at night? We got there that night. We got in later that night. So we started in the morning.
We were roomies for a night.
Yeah.
With all the luggage.
We just stayed there that night and flew out in the morning.
Correct.
So the day before was when we went around to go and talk to all the people that were tearing down these homes that were washed away and, covered in mold and, so we went all over
Samaritan's
North Carolina.
Purse.
Samaritan's Purse
is the group where you can still donate money to help, and they
help all over the country.
The fires in California.
All the way to Hawaii.
Yeah.
They're across the country. Incredible organization. Those people, those that were cleaning up the rubble of those houses, I feared so much for their health, because they were in absolutely mold-laden homes with, some of them didn't even have a mask on.
Yeah.
But wow, unbelievable. And so we spent the day before doing that. We slept overnight, and then in the morning we got on the plane and we went to Pennsylvania.
Girlfriend, no.
Did we miss a stop?
No, that whole Monday we woke up in Asheville. We got there late at night. I think we should have done the rally in Pittsburgh. No, not the rally. That was when we were speaking, and somewhere in Pennsylvania, Sunday. And then Sunday night we got to Asheville. We woke up Monday morning and we went to 6 different stops throughout the Asheville area, 6 to talk to all these people.
So it wasn't the day before, it was that day. Then
that's why it was such a crazy day.
Then we went to Pennsylvania. So we had a full day in Asheville, talking to so many different people
who were victims, who were left behind by the government.
And then we went to Pennsylvania. Then we flew on that jet up to Pennsylvania. We got up to Pennsylvania, and we had such an entourage. I remember I was really pissed about this. I was pissed.
We were not happy.
Too. We got up there, and there were so many people, because now we're going to a Trump rally, which are different. They're much larger, and So we get there, and you guys have to also be clear with Secret Service and all. So there was too many people on this damn plane. So many people came with the people that were working. And so because there was so many, Secret Service didn't have all of their names, and they thought it was better to just keep us all back and wait for Trump to arrive and go in his motorcade.
Together with him.
With him to the rally, because it was going to be too complicated otherwise to get everyone checked in and split us all up. And so we didn't need those other people. They were joyriders.
And they were part of the reason we had the beautiful jet. Some of them.
Right. I had one too, which we should have used.
I was like, where was Danica's jet?
So anyway, so then we didn't go to the rally until Trump did, and when Trump arrives, it starts for him.
Immediately.
So we didn't get to speak at that rally. And then, so we waited through that whole one. Then we get on the plane. Now we're on Trump Force One.
Yes.
And now we fly to Michigan for the last rally in Grand Rapids.
Which is always his last rally of all three of his campaigns.
Really?
Grand Rapids, Michigan, that's his tradition.
Oh, wow.
And remember what time he started speaking?
We got there at I think it was 11:40. No, it was 11:45.
He started speaking at 12:45 a.m.
12:45 he started?
Yes, because he didn't get done until 2:05 a.m. And that was a
he started at 11:45. He started at 11:45 p.m. And he spoke. It was almost 2 hours, and then we got on the plane, because then was like a 3.5 hour ride back to Florida. Yeah, it was like about midnight to 2 a.m. was basically when he spoke.
We went wheels up from Grand Rapids to Palm Beach at 2:40 a.m.
Exactly, because he finished at about 2:15, 2 o'clock. By the time we got to the airport, plane took off. So he spoke from about midnight till 2 a.m. And then we flew down, and then we sat next to Trump for a lot of that flight.
Yeah.
And which was fun and interesting.
I want to set the scene because and this is Trump Force One, not now Air Force One, which is
like
so
Trump
much bigger.
Force One. He's like, it's beautiful, isn't it? It's so beautiful, isn't it? And we're like, so
but
Trump.
it's that foretop, right? And so
because you walk in the back of the plane, and then there's all these overly nice first class seats. There's 2 on each side. So those are kind of like there's like 3 rows of that, and then a little half wall, and then in front of that is like a couch area, I think, and maybe there's a table there too, and then there's some chairs off to the side. Then there's a couch up by the TV, and then a foretop, and that foretop is where he sits
next to the window.
And then there's 2 chairs in front of that are along the window, and that's where Susie Wiles was.
Exactly.
And anyway, but Trump's always on the back left seat in that plane, in that foretop table that looks at the TV. So when we're also traveling, we were watching the Grand Rapids rally while we flew
to get to Grand Rapids.
So the TV's streaming. I don't know how he gets that done, but that's a superstar. But so we're watching the rally, and one of the things I do remember, just as like a funny, cool story for me, when we landed in Grand Rapids, I don't think I really had spoken to him too much. Maybe said hello, and then it was like towards the very end of the flight, and we were like, I think we were probably already taxiing.
We were.
And he started asking about racing and asking questions. And so it's just like the whole plane is listening.
Don Jr. was standing there.
Don Jr.'s there. And so we're like, it's just him and I going back and forth, and he has so many questions. And then all of a sudden he just goes, oh, we better go. And like, because the plane had stopped, and like the last rally's waiting.
Yeah.
So anyway, but then there's obviously the amazing, cool flight home of being able to chill and just like, listen to him play music, and
because he's a DJ.
Yeah.
You know what? One of the coolest things for me was watching his ability to just go like that with whatever just happened, all the amazing words he just spoke, and really just getting everybody riled up and excited and emotional. There's a lot of words.
All the words.
But then he sat down in his chair right next to the window every single time.
Yeah.
And he was just asking you about sports. I think he asked you about who you dated, and you mentioned Aaron, and he was like, Aaron Rodgers? And
and he did say, he was like, who broke up? And I was like, well, he's like, you tell them you did it.
I remember this moment. I remember that moment. I was dead.
It was like master of the message.
You tell them you broke up. You failed in this conversation again, Danica. But
I'm like
fine.
Way too honest.
No,
this is why I can't be a politician.
No, but he asked you about all kinds of things and voting and the why behind it, but he wasn't talking about himself as he's about he just finished his last rally of his last campaign, and we're landing at 5:40 in the morning in Palm Beach, and then he was going to vote for himself. Like, we're in the middle of history, and he's asking about you and me and other people. Do you remember what he asked me?
Yeah, he asked did he ask you dated a black guy before?
He goes, do you date black guys or white guys? Yeah. And it was out of the blue, and I'm like,
there's something about that that's so not okay, and also so relaxed. Like, who cares, actually? Like, it's actually, there's like a very approached aspect to that question, that you say those words.
But a lot of people,
because it's not like he doesn't even care, he's just curious.
Exactly. A lot of people want to know all these questions, but are afraid to ask. He does not care.
Yeah.
And I think he knew that I have a white mom, black dad. And so I looked at him when he asked the question. I said, well, I'm an equal opportunity employer, so whatever. And he's like, you know how he goes, And he looked away, and then he asked a couple other questions, which I'll keep to myself. Totally appropriate, just hysterical things that, again, most people would never ask, but they think. I'll never forget looking around, though, and trying to soak it up, Danica, with you there and him there and Susie Wiles right there and all of his staff and Natalie and the amazing social media people and Tulsi trying desperately to sleep despite him having the volume on 10 as he played 11. Queen or Sinead O'Connor. Right? And I remember getting off the plane and thinking, like, we are a handful of civilians, as I call us on that plane, who got to experience history.
Yeah, I mean, but we're not. But it feels like it, you know.
No,
like,
but we didn't. We're
the
not.
The humility of it is true. Like, who the fuck? Like, how are we in that?
How
spot?
are we there?
How are we in that spot?
No, I'm not saying we're part of history, but we got to witness it.
But like, we're not regular civilians. That's why we were on the plane.
Okay, fine. But I'm saying compared to them.
Well, I get it. Like, but I think the same things. There's a level. Like, I get it. Like the humility, but the.
No, you're right.
But you have to use evidence as the context as evidence, which is that we were there. That we were there.
We got to experience that.
We're there for a reason. I'm not saying we were the most important reason. I'm just saying we were there.
No, you're right. And I think sometimes that humility, I unintentionally, like, go too far with it because I'm like, oh my God, why am I here? And listen, there's a business aspect to it, for sure. You have a different reach, an incredible reach than I do, than he does, and she does.
And we were women, which is really important for the vote for him because women tend to be the most liberal and the most sort of triggered by him. So
for sure, and that's why. Thank you, Mark Cuban, for helping us out by saying that he doesn't surround himself.
Thank The View.
Yes,
the gift that keeps
brilliant
on giving.
Ladies on The View who brought Mark Cuban on, and then after that, remember the Harris campaign was like, "Can you not talk to Mark Cuban?"
Yeah, because what was the other one that came from The View that I think Kamala was asked what she would do different, and she goes, "Nothing comes to mind."
Just so tone deaf, so tone deaf.
Well, she's not. They're just puppets in position,
right?
You know?
Which is sad. You know
what's sad when you realize that there's so many career politicians, and I think this is why what's happening right now is so powerful because Trump has all the people that he have been the most loyal to him, most importantly, which is we're finding out within government is like 3/4 of the battle is just finding honest, loyal people that keep it all in, and also they then get free rein to do what they need to do and get it done. Like meeting Brooke Rollins, she was like, I was on the 16, was in the White House with him, and he called, and I was like, I've heard that when he calls, no one can say no, and so, or look at Tom Homan coming back, and he's like, I got to learn how to really retire, but the Donald calls, and you just got to go. So anyway, but what I heard a lot in DC was just that people are actually getting to do things. Yeah. They're actually getting to do things and get things done instead of just have it be a time passing. And that's why it's a really special time right now. And we have the opportunity to keep it going for
very long time.
Another 4 years,
at the roster.
Or maybe another 8 years.
Yeah, I really, I've said this a lot. I do think the last 4 years had to happen, in order for all of us.
Just like all of our pain and trauma.
Yeah,
they are the gift.
It had to happen. Damn it.
Yeah.
To be on the verge. What did you learn the most about yourself during these last couple of years, where you said, "Screw it, I'm going to say what I think, and hopefully help others who haven't voted, register to vote, etc." I hope you know the difference that you made to so many people. What did you learn the most about yourself during that time?
I mean, when you get really passionate about something, it's easy to talk about it. So like really being led by your passions and like when you get ignited. I don't love public speaking, but I feel like I like keep getting like too many people are like, you're great at it, you should keep doing it, you know, and I'm like, so maybe that I should do more of that. And that government can make a difference if the right people are in there. But what did I learn about myself? I can do great things. Yeah. Like, I think it's not like I can do great things whether it's racing or anything else. It's like that, you know, you can just, yeah, it's not, and I've always believed this, but I guess I didn't know how much I could plug myself into other ways and do it. But like, you know, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a hard worker, if you have vision, if you have passion, you can plug that into all kinds of things. And so, like believing in yourself that you can kind of just transition and do different things and be of influence. And even if you aren't even that educated in it, it's your passion that gets the message out. So like, it's so important to just find things that you're passionate about. And I guess more than ever, I am so run by what gives me energy and what doesn't. And what doesn't really kills me. Like, I just feel it's really dramatic to me right now. So maybe my tolerance is just lower, but the stuff that I am really meant for gives me so much energy and so much excitement. So that's how we were able to get through the campaign without sleeping ever and without getting any food or water, is that we were like motivated. We were passionate. Yeah.
The never say never thing, because you didn't have to do any of this.
No, and like easier. None of us got paid.
No, despite what people think. No, we lost money doing it.
No one paid for anything.
No
one paid for anything.
No, and
my wardrobe was very expensive.
Thanks to that. When we pulled up to that hotel in Nashville late that night, and you opened up your suitcase, and you're like, I bought this and I bought this, and I'm like, oh, that's gorgeous. Where'd you get that? Like, it was a great excuse.
Campaign clothes are less see-through, less nipple, you know? If we can loop around the beginning of the conversation to the end. Many less nipples.
She's a pro, yeah. But you didn't have to do any of it.
Yeah.
You were very comfortable here, getting a lot done and making a difference. And I think back when you first came on the scene as a sportscaster and covering you and rooting for you in endless ways and admiring how you chose to handle so many things.
Thanks.
And then the entrepreneur comes out, and now this. It's just a great lesson that for anyone watching, like, you just never know where life will lead you, and to trust.
That's kind of the last thing is that I'd say is that don't assume that you know which way your life is going to go, and that you need to pay attention to the opportunities. And like, if people keep calling about something, or people keep wanting you to do something, or if people keep saying you're good at something, listen.
Yes.
Because that's what kept happening with the campaign. I was like, I don't know, dude. They just keep calling. They want me to go do this now. And they were all cool opportunities. So I just kept saying yes.
Yeah.
And, you know, now I'm like buddy with all of them.
I know. It's weird. And they're human. Just like us.
Yeah.
Despite their strength and toughness, there's feelings.
People want to kill them more than they want
That's true. We don't need Secret Service.
Yeah. Like, you know, I was with Pam Bondi the other night, and she has like 8 Secret Service at any one point.
Gosh.
Like, at
and
all
what
times.
Tulsi's been through. Like,
same thing for her. You know, like, they all have,
But they also are okay with it, and they believe it's worth it.
Well, exactly. It's the passion.
Absolutely. And that's what you've done to prove that when you go after that passion, what can come of it. And what a
all
blessing.
The energy,
like,
all the speed, it all happens so fast, and there's enough energy there to do what you need to do.
So I need to thank Donald Trump for bringing us together, right? Is
that
where we go back to?
Exactly. We'll do a thank you and send him a picture.
Who knew?
Show him a picture and make sure my widow's peak was showing. Remember when he was like, I love your widow's peak. I've always loved that. I'm like, I've literally never heard anyone point my widow's peak out. I didn't know.
It was so random, and it was so beautiful.
But of course he would notice hair.
Of course. He liked the red outfit you had on that day too, which you look great in red.
Red is my favorite color.
Danica Patrick, please I know you won't. I know you won't change. The vulnerability you've had in every aspect of your life is just so huge. It makes me happy for all those of us who get to receive it. So I love you. God bless
you. Thank you. And I'm so proud of you too, because it wasn't all that long ago. You're like, I wish I could say what you're saying. And here you are saying exactly what you want. And
with peace.
And it's allowed you to evolve through this phase with your kids going away, and that's a hard thing for moms, as well as at the same time welcoming in the greatest love of your life that has made you so happy. You're evidence of it as well.
God is good. Yes. Thanks, girlfriend. Now go work out again or something.
No, I'm not going to work out again. I worked out yesterday, and I'll work out tomorrow, and that's it.
And I'm not going to work out for 2 weeks, and I'm still going to look like this.
You're going to still look hot. Very hot. You know how many people are like, Sage, she's so pretty. And
You're so
pretty. You are.
It.
Kidding me.
God love you. Okay, cut. Thank you.